Welcome to Pseudoscience 101, the only channel where a fight-on with a 479 tri-type or a wannabe menace to society mocks the personality system because they do not know how to properly communicate their hyperfixation. The Enneagram is a pseudoscientific personality system and scientifically weird shape that divides humanity into 9 different types, which are all creatively named 1, 2, 3, the best type, derogatory, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The types are categorized by their center of insecurity and their bad coping mechanisms, which are best described using the object relations triad. A type's placement on both defines their worst fear. The centers of insecurity can be easily categorized into 3 basic emotions: anger, shame, and fear. The anger triad, types 8, 9, and 1, want to do whatever they want, but can't because of stupid people getting in the way. They have to deal with conflict. The shame triad, types 2, 3, and 4, want to be loved, but can't as they are too pathetic for me to care. They have to deal with feeling inferior. The fear triad, 5, 6, and 7, want security, but can't as they have too much college debt and an existential crisis. They have to deal with the unknown. An important thing to note is that everyone deals with these, but you care about one more than the others. This will be expanded upon once I make a video about tri-types, but that won't happen as I will abandon the channel beforehand. Common nicknames for the triad are body, heart, and mind, and instinctual feeling and thinking. However, if you are painfully optimistic, you could call shame, and only shame, image. But if you do that, you're dead to me. Now that you know about the centers of insecurity, you should know about the object relations triad, which is best known for making a type sound like nightmares to be and or deal with, which is how you know the creators understood the Enneagram. The object relations triad is composed of 3 triads: rejection, frustration, and attachment. The rejection triad, types 2, 5, and 8, are about fulfilling your needs by getting rid of bad things, such as different people or your personality. Examples include, I'm a disgrace to my family, so I'm really going to make it up to them by abandoning my personality. This Kurzgesagt video filled me with existential dread, so I'm going to watch this other Kurzgesagt video about existential dread. The weird kid at school asked me a question which will get this channel demonetized, so I kicked him in the balls. Frustration is about idealizing what you have to deal with and getting upset over how the ideal triple murder suicide does not exist. These are types 4, 7, and 1. I'm a disgrace to my family. But that's a cool aesthetic, so I'll tell everyone I'm a disgrace to my family. This Kurzgesagt video filled me with existential dread, so I'm going to take my mind off it by getting addicted to 18+ websites. The weird kid at school asked me a question which will get this channel demonetized, so I'm going to complain about it to the teacher I hate until he gets executed. Attachment is used by types 3, 6, and 9, and is about grabbing onto things like success or what others want to gain safety from whatever you have to deal with. Examples include, my family can't hate me, I own a business. Kurzgesagt released a new video. This is exactly what the support group warned me about. I'm not watching it. The weird kid, well, fuck me. If it's the only way to get him to get the fuck out, I like handhold. However, I personally find the typical Enneagram to be kinda bad, in that, except for the growth stress lines, which will be covered in the next video, looking at it with an untrained eye tells you absolutely nothing about the types. Of course, if you understand the theory, you know how a number's placement affects the triads they're in. However, if you don't and are stupid, I have an alternative which can show the 2 triads in an easier way. So I informally present to you the asshole chart. And yes, there's a reason why it's called that, but you have to wait until a non-disclosed location in the video for me to explain. Editing dumbass here, if the asshole chart already exists and does not have a stupid name, I'll talk about it in my next video about the Enneagram. As you can see, the asshole chart separates the centers of insecurity by rows and the coast by problems, so everyone has a big problem depending on the row and interacts with it similarly to types on their column. Type 5 uses the rejection code for fear, so what the fuck does that mean? If you are smart, like me, you should notice that each of the examples I used, being a disgrace to your family, Kurzgesagt filling you with existential dread, and the weird kid asking invasive questions, are all experiences which I've been through. All connect to the problems in the Enneagram, being inferior, the unknown, and conflict. This is because I like the diversity of knowledge to understand the world from a standpoint other than pseudoscientific personality systems. However, there's more to it than that because it gives me a quick example of the type's coping mechanism in action, and how that coping mechanism stems from the type's worst fear I've been neglecting for the past 4 minutes and 30 seconds of the video. So lightning round, let's do this, starting with the fear triad. This Kurzgesagt video fills you with existential dread. What do you do? Type 5, fear and rejection. Watching another Kurzgesagt video, this time about existential dread. You're doing this out of fear that you're too stupid to deal with scary things. 5 is commonly known as the investigator, but nicknames are shit, so I'm not going to get into them for the other types, you stupid asshole. Type 6, fear and detachment. Not watching Kurzgesagt to not gain an existential crisis. This coping mechanism exists because you're incapable of dealing with the unknown, you boring asshole. Type 7, fear and frustration. Watching 18 plus videos to ignore your existential dread. This is because you fear feeling slightly unpleasant emotions, you sad asshole. The anger triad. The weird kid at school asks you a question which will get my channel demonetized. What do you do? Type 8, anger and rejection. Obliterating the weird kid's testes so he'll never speak to you again. Because of this, you fear lacking the power/ability to ruin anyone's literal or metaphorical testes, you weak asshole. Type 9, anger and attachment. Your hand-holding fetish disgusts me, but hopefully doing what the weird kid wants would make him satisfied and leave. This coping mechanism exists due to your crippling fear of conflict, you other weak asshole. Type 1, anger and frustration. Bitching about the weird kid to your bitchy teacher stops you from dealing with him again, but only if things go right. Because of this, you fear lacking the moral high ground/perfection required for any hypothetical teachers to take your side, you horrible asshole. The shame triad. You're a disgrace to your family. What do you do? Type 2, shame and rejection. Changing your personality so your family will like you. You fear being unloved and only do things for others because of your attention issues, you selfish asshole. Type 3, shame and attachment. You have the delusion that owning a business means your family likes you, which it doesn't. You fear not having the significance to maintain that delusion, you... I actually don't care enough about this type to find a good adjective for asshole. Whoops. Type 4, my type, shame and frustration. You pretend that you're cool because the people who know you most hate your guts. How deluded, how vain. I bet that right now, you're using what I just said to expand your already overinflated ego, but one day, it will burst, and you're terrified by that. You're horrified that one day, you'll have to discard the mesh of your worst personality traits you call an identity. And when that day comes, you'll have to finally grow up. You fucking asshole! Keep in mind that when I called each type an asshole at the end of their section, the adjective before was mostly based off stereotypes, so only pay attention to the worst fears and whiteboard changes. However, except for the jokes, the rest of the video should be accurate, especially the part I said about type 4. Fuck those guys. Oh, and before the video ends, I'm going to mention 2 quick things. Firstly, if you're wondering why I made the asshole chart go fear, anger, shame, and not any more seemingly rational orders, that's because I want the chart to convey concepts I'll explain in another video without making it look like shit. Thirdly, if you're wondering why the fuck I decided to name it the asshole chart, look in the description. It's technically part of the video. Secondly, and finally, apologies to people who came from Kurzgesagt. This channel is and probably will be nothing like it, but it's the funniest example of the unknown I could think of. I don't regret making you watch until the end, though. I want views. Of course, if you have any other questions, I'll answer any you have in the comments, unless this video somehow blows up, in which case I will pretend I'm the only person who exists, just like all famous people. But remember, if we have different interpretations, it's okay as long as you are thinking for yourself. I'm a guide, not a god, though you should treat me as one. Anyways, I've had a lot of fun writing this script, but not animating it, and I hope you laughed a little, and if you somehow laughed a lot, you're dead to me.